Perfect. And we are here. This is our See Through podcast where we help each other get through spiritual topics. We help each other find our way through all of these spiritual hurdles and obstacles, and we kind of see each other through it. But we also find a way to make these spiritual topics and realizations a little more palatable. We make ourselves a little bit more transparent in the process. And that means everything. It makes all the difference for Krishna. Krishna is so reciprocal that as we approach him, he mirrors it back to us. So if we approach him open and vulnerable and transparent, he'll be open and vulnerable and transparent with us. And that's our ultimate aim and hope. So thank you for joining me. I'm so glad to be with all of you, either watching in the Zoom room or gathering on YouTube. And we're going to be continuing on with Krishna book. We've been going through Krishna book just to get an idea of who our best friend is. We talk about Krishna as the best friend or the supreme bestie all the time. But if you don't know anything about your best friend, is it really a friendship like that? So we are reading Krishna book in order to find out, to effectively behind the scenes stalk our best friend, because that is the best way of really taking your friendships to the next level. Stalk your friends, guys. Lovingly, not in an illegal way, because that is highly illegal in the United States, but in a good way, stalk your friends. So we're doing the scoping out right now. You ever get that friend and they're like, I think there's somebody that I think I might be like interested in, and even like making a real friendship, and then your friend goes and they come back with all the intel on that person, and like, we got date of birth, we've got hair color, eye color, height, weight. We've got everything down to like, we've got visa applications, social security numbers. You ever have that one really good friend that's good at stalking everybody else? And they come back to you with all the past pictures and all the stuff. This is what Srila Prabhupada has done for us with Krishna book. We've said, I think there's somebody I'd like to get to know. Srila Prabhupada's like, I got you. Just give me a second. And he's come back with all of the intel on Krishna, past, present, future, all the things. So we're super grateful to Srila Prabhupada for giving us this inside info. If you are joining us, let us know. Feel free to join in the chat, either in Zoom or join in on the chat on YouTube. We kind of look back and forth. At least I know I do. I'm going to ask somebody to put up the Veda-based link to Krishna book on YouTube if you can, and we'll get started. We'll join right in. So we left off. All of the devas had a problem. Bhumi, the goddess of the earth, said, "I'm feeling overwhelmed and overburdened, and I feel like I'm having a breakdown." Now, this is the goddess of the earth, but then what do you do when the earth is having a breakdown? Right? It's not just the goddess. Like, the whole earth is having a breakdown. Not so unlike right now. I feel like she's still having a little bit of this breakdown, to be honest. So what do you do when the entire earth is having a breakdown? She went to her immediate supervisor, Lord Brahma, the deva who creates so much of this universal atmosphere. And he said, this problem is even bigger than me. I think we all need some more reinforcement. And all of the devas got together, and surprise, surprise, they did not tell her, oh, just suck it up, you'll be fine tomorrow. They understood that this would easily become their problem. And they all went to Shvetadweep, where Lord Vishnu resides. And they begged for assistance because they understood. What they also understood is not only could this one isolated problem become a problem for them, but they also understood that group petition is one of the most powerful things in the universe. So maybe on their own, maybe they wouldn't be able to somehow figure out a way to catch the Supreme Person's attention. But they understood that if they all came together, there was no way that the Supreme Person could ignore them. This is what Kirtan is. Kirtan is this group petition where everyone comes together and they think, maybe on my own, in mantra meditation or in japa, maybe I can't catch the attention of the Supreme Person. Maybe on my own, in prayer alone, I cannot catch the attention of the Supreme Person. But when we all come together on Zoom or on YouTube or in a Kirtan, and we band together and combine all those prayers, it's like Captain Planet. Anybody ever watch that show? It's like all these kids would come together and they'd like combine their powers, and this superhero would come out to help them recycle and save the day and the planet all at once. It's kind of like that. Everybody comes together and they're saying, on my own I can't do anything, but with all of you we can create the most powerful thing in the entire universe, and that is this group petition, this group prayer. And that is Kirtan. That is Sangha. That is association. That is these podcasts. So the Devas essentially came together and made a whole universal Zoom. And they said, we need some assistance. And the Supreme Person sent a message back and said, don't worry, I'll go and admit. Actually, you all also should join in on the fun. Everybody come and help the mission, right? Everybody's got one job. Everybody help out. And if you ever listen to recordings of Ayendra Prabhu, there are some times when he would yell out, everyone please help. Everyone help. Everyone is included in this Yuga Dharma, in this Sankirtan movement. And so Kirtan just means to chant the glories of our supreme best friend. This is also Kirtan. Srila Prabhupada would say about lectures, this is also Kirtan. And so when we're gathering together and we're eager and hopeful, it creates magic. So now we have Kamsa, and we have Devaki and Vasudeva. We have the parents of Shri Krishna. We have, the to-be parents. We have Kamsa, the will-be uncle of Shri Krishna. And they don't have the best relationship. If you think you don't have the best relationship with your family members, just wait. We're going to see some things about Krishna and his family members and how they all interact. And we heard a little bit several months ago about how Kamsa was terrorizing everyone. And he was kind of collecting demon associates as though they were like Pokemon, he's just collecting this one and this one and this. He's going to different places, challenging people. And he has this whole army of demon associates and comrades. So let's see what he does with them all. But now he's kind of stuck in a quandary. He's looking at his sister Devaki and he's saying, she looks even more beautiful than before. This must be the influence of having Vishnu within her heart, within her womb. What do I do? Thinking, I can't kill the pregnant lady, but he has taken to killing all of her children as soon as they're born, because somehow I don't get it. In the hierarchy of demoniac activities, we've seen this time and time again, even with the story of Prahlad Maharaj, we heard, right? Narada Muni comes, he's like, you wouldn't kill a pregnant lady, would you? They're like, no, we're just going to kill the infant as soon as it's born. No biggie. I'm like, is on the hierarchy of demoniac activities, is that the lesser of two evils? The baby? So, I don't know how that equals out, but the logic, somehow they've reasoned it. I can't kill the pregnant woman, but I can kill the infant, helpless child. So Kamsa is eagerly waiting for this 8th son to be born. Actually, the entire universe is waiting at this point. And all of the devas converge on the scene, and they've been offering prayers. Last time we spoke about the Lord's appearance in our lives. This time we're going to talk about the reason for our Lord's appearance. Why does our Lord appear? So continuing on, we left off, there was a bit of a summary and purport. So one of our friends is saying, killing a pregnant woman is a 2-in-1 murder. A child is a single murder. Also, that's the target. The woman might have more babies the demon can use later. That's true. And devas, you'd think that devas wouldn't kill a woman, but they were trying to kidnap her. It didn't seem like a good idea. The whole thing seemed like, this is very sketchy. But you're right. If you kill the pregnant woman, that's a 2-in-1. It really is. It's kind of like We're pushing the hand of karmic reaction, aren't we? We might be pushing it a little bit too far. Maybe just do the one. But I'm like, the innocent child, it's very interesting. So yeah, I'm really glad that Narada Muni converged on the scene, and that there are people that are saying, look, whoa, this is a big deal. Like, maybe you don't do that. But also Kamsa had been feeling even a little bit confident in himself. Devaki had a first child. I have no fear from this child. We got to get through 7 more before there's the one that is prophesied to kill me. Why should I be so afraid of the first one? Take him home. And they named him Kirtiman. Cute little boy. They had time to really think about it, a few days. And Narada gets the idea. Wait a second. If Kamsa starts showing compassion, that is all that Krishna will pay attention to. He won't see such a sense of urgency. We've got to make this demon as bad and merciless as possible so that the Supreme Lord finds the urgency to say, okay, that's it. I've got to save my people. And so he instigates Kamsa, kill all the children. Which we might think, this is a holy person. How are you convincing this demon to act more demoniacally? If that's a word. But he comes and he says, no, kill all the children. You never know which one might be Vishnu. He's like, no, there's a first one, there's an 8th one. It's simple math. No. But if you look at it cyclically, these devas are crafty. They're crafty. So if you look at it on a circle, who can say where the first point of the circle is and where the last point of the circle is, right? It's all a matter of perspective. And Vishnu is crafty with his perspective. Who knows where he might think the first child is or the 8th child is. And so he uses this logic to say, kill them all. And if you kill them all, what Narada knows is Krishna will have this sense of protection for his people in his heart so much that he'll think, enough, this is ghastly. Let me make my appearance. So, we're trying to get Kamsa to show no mercy because the earth has already been overburdened and they want Krishna to appear as soon as possible. So the devas converge on the scene and they've been praying. So we have a line. Why does Krishna appear? Krishna appears to give a chance both to the devotees and non-devotees for realization of the ultimate goal of life. The devotees get the direct chance to see him and to worship him. Those who are not on that platform get the chance to become acquainted with his activities and thus become elevated to the same position. You don't even have to be a pure devotee to benefit. This is our Krishna. I was just at Sadhu Sangha, and at one point during a particularly rousing kirtan, I had left the room and I walked back in the room and I thought, this is madness. None of this makes sense. There's so many people in this room. People are going crazy. There's people jumping off of stages. There's people being carried around. There's people being thrown in the air. And I'm kind of looking at it going, this is crazy. None of this makes any sense. And I thought, this is the tidal wave of Mahaprabhu's mercy. And then I looked on the side and there were still people kind of just like sitting like, not even looking at the madness, kind of like, whoa, this is crazy, but just kind of like spacing out. And I thought, I don't ever want to be on the sidelines. I don't want to miss it. I want to be in it. I want to be in the waves, in the ocean. I want to dive in deep. I don't want to miss it on the sidelines. And I was thinking, what happens if you are on the sidelines of that tidal wave of Mahaprabhu's mercy? And here's our answer. Those waves extend their arms out and they don't miss anybody. Even if you are not pure, even if you think you're on the sidelines and you think you miss it, those devotees who are not on that level get the chance to become acquainted with his activities and thus become elevated to the same position. Krishna's mercy doesn't miss anybody. So even if you think, oh, I'm not on that level, it's okay. Just get acquainted with his activities. Hear about him. Somehow or other, by hook or by crook, he ropes you in, and next thing you know, that's it. That's it. You're already hooked. The demigods continued, "O dear Lord, you are unborn. Therefore, we do not find any reason for your appearance other than for your pleasurable pastimes." Like, you don't need to do this. You are already eternal, above all this. There's no reason for you to have to do this except for your own pleasurable pastimes. Although the reason for the appearance of the Lord is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, he descends just to give protection to the devotee and vanquish the non-devotee. Actually, he descends for his pleasurable meeting with the devotees, not really to vanquish the non-devotees. The non-devotees can be vanquished simply by material nature, right? A tsunami could take them out. A hurricane could take them out. Nobody can stop those forces of material nature. Inevitable time will take them out. Krishna doesn't have to actually appear. And I love this point. We think, oh, the Lord appeared. He appeared to save those pure devotees. That's it. No. He appeared to have pastimes with you. And this is the reason for the Lord's appearance in our own lives. We might think the Lord appeared just to pick me up and save me. I was having a rough time. No. That's a byproduct. That's an after effect. Side effects. Right? You take medication. There's side effects. The side effect of Krishna's mercy in your life is that he saves you. Really, the actual medicine is that he arrives just to say, but do you remember me? Remember, friend? We've known each other for a long time. You forgot about me, but I never forgot you. I never, ever forgot you. There's a section in third canto. Might be third canto. I have to look it up again. And Krishna speaks about this. He arrives to literally the most random person ever. It's not a pure devotee that you've heard about all this time. It's like a random devotee, which I love because that's us. We're the random people. He appears to a random devotee. He walks up, he says, you look a little depressed. What's happening with you? And she says, I've lost everything. I had a soulmate, I had a husband, they died. I had a family, they all went away. I'm by myself. I'm feeling bereft. He says, but you've never been bereft. You've had a friend for a long time. You forgot, but I've remembered. And all this time I've just been thinking, watching you go through this, and I've been brokenhearted. Krishna is not happy to see us go through challenges and trials and tribulations, nor is Krishna so removed and so caught up in his supremacy that he doesn't care. Two birds sitting in one tree, right? Srila Prabhupada has made this analogy over and over and over again. One bird's eating the fruits, the other bird is simply watching. But not watching detached, not watching far removed like I could be anywhere else. Watching in it with us. Krishna hurts for us. Draupadi, very, very famous devotee, chosen sister of Krishna. Since this is like a Pride month and it's all about like chosen family, chosen sister of Krishna. Krishna says to her, that's it, you're my sister. You're also named Krishna. We have the same complexion, lots of bodily features. And you're so sweet. I choose you. That's it, you're my sister. She gets married to the Pandavas, who are the cousin brothers of Krishna. And so even more reason for them to have this connection. And then she gets horribly violated. You'd think Krishna's above everything. He's a supreme person. He knows what's going to happen, right? But when she comes to Krishna with tears in her eyes and says, I know you saved me, but what took you so long? You ever feel like that? Krishna, I know you saved me, but what took you so long? And tears streaming down her face, he doesn't say, do you know who I am? Do you know how busy I was? I was on a battlefield fighting for my own family. And he really was. He was on a battlefield fighting for his family, having his own breakdowns. Krishna doesn't say any of that. He holds her face in his hands, smooths away her tears with his thumbs and says, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry it took me so long. It is heartbreaking that it took me that long to go and save you. But as soon as you called, I dropped everything that I was doing, even unseen. However I could get there, I got there. I'm so sorry that you went through it for so long. And then he says, but if you desire, if you want today, I will go back to the kingdom of the Kurus and wipe them off the face of the earth, whatever you want. because you are mine. So the Lord's appearance in our life, we think, sure, Krishna came and saved us, but no. It's to make those deep, lasting relationships. Because in Nectar of Devotion, Sri Krishna reflects on Draupadi's calling out to him and says, I'm indebted to her because she called out to me. And the more I think about it, the more indebted I feel. How amazing. The more we depend on Krishna, the more Krishna wants to come and save us. I was just reading, there's a section, 9th canto, and not only do we have the purports and commentaries of our Vaishnavacharyas, but now we also have the purports and commentaries of Shivaram Maharaj, who is a life-changing, amazing personality. And in some of those commentaries, he writes, he says, Krishna depends on his devotees needing him. The more we need him, the more involved he gets. And he says this, he gives an idea in Bhagavad Gita. He says, although I am within everything, everything is within me, I am not within everything, right? Just as the mighty wind blows and yet is detached, I am knowledgeable of everything but detached. But once my devotee surrenders unto me, they move from being under the shelter of my material energy, and I bring them into my own personal shelter. Krishna knows everything, but he doesn't have to act on behalf of everyone. But once we surrender, he says, I'm there. 100%. And Shivaram Maharaj comments, Krishna loves to be loved. So the more we think, but if I open up to Krishna and I give Krishna everything, then what's going to happen to me? The more Krishna says, you know what's going to happen to you? The best of everything. Once we invoke his presence into our lives, it triggers it flips the switch for those relationships. This is the reason for Krishna's appearance. Saving us is a side effect. Loving us is the cause, the effect, and the goal. They continue. The action and reaction of the external energy of material nature, creation, maintenance, and annihilation, are being carried on automatically, but simply by taking shelter of your holy name, because your holy name and your personality are non-different. The devotees are sufficiently protected. The protection of the devotees and the annihilation of the non-devotees are actually not the business of the Supreme Personality of Godhead when he descends. They are just for his transcendental pleasure. There cannot be any other reason for his appearance. Which means that if you have received Krishna's mercy in your life, and we all have, it's not because he felt pity on you. It's not because he thought, oh, well, let me go save this helpless, hapless jiva. It's because he wanted to be there. It's because being present in your life gave him some transcendental pleasure. You give pleasure to the heart of the Supreme Person. How amazing is that? If that doesn't inspire you to give your heart to Krishna, I don't know what will. That person that everybody's running after and seeking comes back around and says, but no, you give pleasure personally to my heart. I want to be there just for you. And that is the purpose of every single person's Paramatma. That Paramatma is not there to save anybody else. He has no other function in the entire creation but to be yours. If only I could decide that I have no other function than to bring pleasure to his heart. Like me, I'm like, I got so many jobs. I have so many things to do. I'm such a busy person, you know. And I'm always telling Krishna, I'm like, but do you understand how busy I am? Like, I've got so much to do. And really, you really want me to take several hours to chant japa? Meanwhile, anytime I need saving, I'm like, Lord, Why aren't you here fast enough? I don't ever for a second think, but you're so busy. What could you want with saving little old me? No, I demand his attention and his presence. I demand so much from Krishna every day. Sachinandan Maharaj was saying over this past weekend, he was saying that your japa is where you prove to Krishna how much you want him. And that was a moment that struck me in the heart. Really, I sat there for a couple minutes. I got a little teary-eyed and I was like, oh, you know those moments that hit you in the stomach? You're like, okay, I've got it. Krishna consciousness is real. Thank you. Thank you very much for that reminder. And I remember I turned to my nephew and I was like, dang. Like have I even texted my friend today? Was I that involved? Did I wake up and think, let me text my friend first thing in the morning? Before I go to bed, am I sitting there going, let me text my best friend for like last thing I do at night, first thing I do in the morning, every hour in between? My mom used to have an alarm that goes off every hour, and it would remind her just to be thankful for her Guru Maharaj and to pay obeisances. It would remind her to be cognizant of time and time's passing. And that's what I want. I don't want an hour to go past where I've forgotten my friend. Our japa is where we prove to Krishna how much we want him, because he's there. He's already proving to us every moment. So how amazing is it that just you being you don't even have to do anything else. You being you gives transcendental pleasure to the heart of the Supreme Person. Saving you is a byproduct. There can be no other reason other than giving transcendental pleasure to the heart of the Supreme Person. And so that just goes to show, when people say, what have you gotten from worshiping Krishna? And I say, I have air in my lungs every day. I have all these things. And somebody said to me once, that's already happening by material nature. Actually, they're right. They're right. Material nature will balance everything out. So what have we gotten? This feeling. We've gotten the opportunity to give joy to the heart of our friend. We've gotten the opportunity to see God face to face. Or as Gaura was saying this week, like ear to face. You ever wonder, it's said that every living entity has all of the qualities of the Supreme Person, just little portions, like minutest portions. How is that possible? Well, Krishna can eat through his eyes, isn't it? We offer things, he glances over it, we take it as now transcendentally fortified, right? You see foods, they're like fortified with vitamin D and all these things. It's like transcendentally fortified now. Krishna can eat through his eyes. He can walk and talk even though he may look stationary. They say this with Jagannath all the time. Jagannath walks although he does not have feet. He blesses although he seemingly does not have hands. He embraces everyone even though he looks like his arms are sweet and short. He moves from place to place by his own will. What does that look like for us? In this minute quantity, we have those same abilities. We can see God face to face by chanting. What? Yeah. We get to see God face to face through sound vibration. Through hearing about his glories, he is there. Those times when you think, oh, I thought about Krishna and that was just a daydream. He was there. And he says it time and time again. He says it to so many people. And he's not just talking to them, he's talking to you. We'll see later on when he speaks to the residents of Vrindavan, he says, I was with you all the time, although you thought it was a dream. So that means whenever and wherever, right? Now we have these famous verses from Bhagavad Gita. Whenever and wherever there's a decline in religious activities and a surcharge of irreligiosity, I descend myself. But whenever and wherever you are thinking about Krishna and experiencing his mercy in your life, he is always present, fully, completely, eternally manifest in a dream, in your thoughts, on paper, in a form made of resin, stone, gold, precious metals. Just within the heart, he is fully manifest and eternally present. Don't take that for granted. The demigods here are praying for what we have every day. I was just reading in Chaitanya Bhagavat, the Kirtan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the demigods were eager, running and disguising themselves just to chant with all of these mortals who are getting the opportunity to look Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the face. Have we come face to face with Krishna today? I mean, the good news is now you have. He's here, fully present, and being really charming, might I add. I mean, there's something about this section. He's being super charming. He's like laying it on really, really thick. Like, don't you just want to get to know me? Don't you just want to come a little closer? Just give a little bit. The demigods continue. Our dear Lord, you are appearing as the best of the Yadu dynasty, and we are offering our respectful, humble obeisances unto your lotus feet. Before this appearance, you also appeared as the fish incarnation, the horse incarnation, the tortoise incarnation, the swan incarnation, as King Ramachandra, as King Parshuram, and as many other incarnations. You appeared just to protect the devotees, and we request you, in your present appearance as the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, to give us similar protection all over the three worlds, and remove all obstacles for the peaceful execution of our lives. Isn't that a prayer to remember? Dear Mother Devaki, within your womb is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing along with all his plenary expansions. He is the original Personality of Godhead appearing for our welfare. Therefore, you should not be afraid of your brother, the King of Bhoja. Your son, Lord Krishna, who is the original Personality of Godhead, will appear for the protection of the pious Yadu dynasty. The Lord is appearing not only alone, but accompanied by his immediate plenary portion, Balaram. Devaki was very much afraid of her brother Kamsa, because he had already killed so many of her children. She used to remain very anxious about Krishna. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine that? She's not even anxious about herself. If I went through that much trauma, I would be anxious about my child, but I would also be like, do you know what I've gone through? Do you know what I've had to witness? I would be harping on it. So I'd be like, I don't know. I've put up so many walls. I never trust anybody again. I've been through so much. She just cares about Krishna. She doesn't even care about herself. Can you imagine just feeling anxious and seeing the most ghastly, unimaginable things? She's not thinking about her own grief. She's just thinking about her child. Amazing. Devaki was very much afraid of her brother. And so in the Vishnu Puran, it is stated that in order to pacify Devaki, all the demigods, along with their wives, used to always visit her to encourage her not to be afraid, and that her son would be killed by Kamsa. Oh, not to be afraid that her son would be killed by Kamsa. Krishna, who was within her womb, was to appear not only to diminish the burden of the world, but specifically to protect the interest of the Yadu dynasty, and certainly to protect Devaki and Vasudeva. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the second chapter. For some of you, it might be the third chapter of Krishna, prayers by the demigods for Lord Krishna in the womb. We did it. After many, many weeks and several detours through many pastimes, we did it. But it's good. I feel as though we heard about so many of these incarnations that the demigods are speaking about. And that's why this is such a momentous occasion. Not just because, they're saying that Lord Vishnu has appeared so many times, but you have the origin of all Vishnus. Even Lord Vishnu has come to pray. You don't just have Lord Vishnu, you have an army of supreme personalities. So they're letting Devaki know, don't worry, you'll be okay. As somebody who is a mom, you do constantly think throughout the entirety of your pregnancy, is this going to be okay? Will this child be happy, healthy, wise? 10 fingers, 10 toes? Will this child have any deficits? Can I take care of this child? Will the world be cruel to this child? What will this person have to face? Can I protect them? And at some level, we know we can't. We are one fallible living entity, and we know the material world's a big bad place. What can I do? Can I stand in the way of all of that? And so I actually used to read Krishna book to comfort myself. I would read Krishna book and draw comfort from the fact that Krishna did this. And so Krishna will make arrangements. So in the same way, all of the demigods and devatas and their wives would converge on the scene and say, don't be afraid. Krishna has made this divine arrangement. So I say to all of you, we're always entering new phases in our lives. We're always being reborn in some way, shape, or form. And we're always working on things and bringing new things to life within our lives. And we're thinking, is this going to work? Can I have faith in this? Can I protect it from this big bad place? Don't be afraid. Krishna is helping this manifest. And so Krishna will give all protection. He's appeared right smack dab in the middle of whatever you're going through, just to show you, hey, look, I'm here. And yeah, the protection will come. But really, I'm here to love you and to be loved by you. There was always a line. When we get to Princess Rukmini, she wanted to become the wife of Krishna. And I was just reading, and maybe we'll bring this up. Shivaram Maharaj writes in a very wonderful book in the introduction. He kind of gives a timeline of Krishna's life. Do you know, we're going to see that Krishna's going to go through so much, and it feels quick. It's going to feel quick. But Krishna actually doesn't get married until like 36. And I was thinking, if you know anything about Indian parents, they want their sons, like 25 is like, look, you're getting up there. What are you doing with your life, And especially back in these Vedic times, it was definitely like, it was set, go, get married, do things. Like, let's settle this portion of the boy and the girl's life so that they can focus on life. Isn't it? You ever think those kind of relationships take so much like mental stress? So the parents think, let's make the good match. Let's figure out all the planetary alignments. Let's settle that section so that the children can focus on life. But Krishna, 36. So when we hear about Rukmini later on, one of the glowing characteristics is that she always wanted to be and was always ready to be enjoyed by the Supreme Person. And I was like, and if that isn't poetry, that speaks to my heart. I mean, and so I started to think about it. What if I chanted my japa with the aim of being enjoyed by the Supreme Person? Doesn't that make you feel a little bit more intimate with it? Doesn't it make you feel like he's very, very charming? So I mean, so one of our friends is saying Balaram had married much sooner, and Revati too. Vasudeva and Devaki must have been anxious for Krishna's marriage. Yeah. And the interesting thing about Revati is he married her soon, but she had to wait a long time. She waited for over a yuga. And as we get to that section, I will, this is going to be a journey where I'll be pairing with Garga Samhita, collaborating with Garga Muni so much because he knows so much. And these pastimes are so fun to get all the details of. I love finding out more and more details. I'm always hungry for details. I feel like it helps us get to know our friend so well. So yeah, it I want to chant my japa with the aim of being enjoyed by Krishna. I mean, do with that information what you will. Do with it what you like. I use it to your heart's content. Because this is why Krishna appears in our lives. He is there to gain transcendental pleasure from our association. And yes, that even means us venting to him about our problems. He gets joy from that. He says, my devotees, they open up their hearts and they perform devotional service by being dependent on me. Krishna constantly wears a pearl necklace. And I've spoken about this before, all my friends who know about pearls and how pearls are dear to me. And they've been there throughout me telling the pearl story. And that was, what, a year and a half ago, Leela Manjari? Like, so long ago. But, there were several, right? There was a series of the pearl story. Maybe I'll link it so that you have something to listen to while we're on this break. I'll link it back. I'll put the Zoom link up. But anybody who knows me knows that I love pearls and their significance. Krishna always wears a necklace of pearls on his chest. Why? Because it signifies all of the devotees who have taken shelter of his broad chest and his wonderful heart. He wears that necklace of pearls to remind him that there are people depending on him, resting on him like pearls strung on a thread. In fact, he says it in Bhagavad Gita. Everything rests on me. But really, those pearls signify the devotees who have taken shelter of him. So rest your head. Take cover. Relax into that shelter. It's so amazing. Rest on Krishna. I was looking at a picture of Radharaman. He's such a small deity, self-manifested. And I'm like, how's your chest so broad for such a small person? Like, you're like this big, it's so tiny. How's your chest so broad? But that's our shelter. It's easy when I see Govinda, who is my size, right? It's easy for me when I see Govinda and I'm looking at him and I can bend down and look up and say, yeah, I get it. I get that shelter. But Radharaman is so small. But it does not change the vastness of his personality. And that shelter is so vast. Rest your head. I guarantee you it is the best place in the universe. So for once, I ended on time. I deserve a round of applause. Okay. I know what? How did this happen? What? But really, I also ended on time because I have the prospect of afternoon japa walk. And after talking about japa this much, I'm really like, I need this japa walk. I'm excited to go chant japa. I really hope that this has enthused all of you. I hope we can all be excited about japa, because this japa is for us to be enjoyed by the Supreme Person. Go on a date with the Supreme Person. Both of them. All of them. And that's what I love about Krishna consciousness. And I think, Nandi was asking me, she's like, can you make a reel? And somebody's, asking, it's like, who's that? It's like, oh, that's God. It's like, who's that? Like, also God. Like, and that? Like, that's God too. Like, what about her? Yes, God. Like, what? Who's not God? Like, that guy. It's like, who's that? Servant of God. No problem. Just as good though. Like, this is what I love about Krishna consciousness. We have so many forms of the Supreme Person. Whichever one of them speaks to your heart, go on a date. Have some time. Because I promise that is all our Supreme people want. They just want to be in it with you. So I'm eager to hear any takeaways that you have before we head out into our lives. where the next time I see all of you, I want to see you glowing. I want to know that you have seen Krishna face to face, ear to face, sound vibration to face. I want to know that you've seen him. Also, one amazing thing is, you ever chant and you hear an echo? I was thinking about this because over the weekend we were in a soccer field, and when we got there, the echo was so much more. Anybody who was there, anybody notice that the echo got like infinitely bigger? But also, even when we were chanting outside, there was an echo. It was such a wide reaching echo. And the sound carried even without microphones. I was listening, I was at the top of a hill. There was Kirtan all the way down the hill, and I heard it so clear. And when I got there, I was surprised that nobody was using microphones. The sound carried so much. Lord Chaitanya says when that happens, it is not an echo. That is the response chanting of all the inanimate living entities. The stone that we think is not alive is also reverberating Krishna's name. The trees that we think are just dead are also reverberating Krishna's names. From the grass to the sky and everything in between, that echo is not an echo. And so when we moved into that soccer field, the echo was so prominent and it was bouncing back. And it was really a cool effect. Like, it really felt like an announcement, an official announcement at a stadium. But I just kept remembering, we have filled this space with Krishna Nam. This space is now filled with Krishna. And all of these walls and all of this concrete and all of this inanimate energy that we think is just dead, unthinking, unfeeling matter, it has gotten the chance to chant Krishna's names. That is the echo we hear. Not just an echo. It is the joy of the inanimate living entities making their lives perfect. We got to do that. We got that chance. So when you go outside, if you're outside, and I see some of us are outside, chant. Even just a little. The ants will chant back. The squirrels will get to hear it. The birds will get to hear it. But the stones, the trees, the sky, they'll all chant back. You are making their lives perfect. You are a messenger of Krishna's mercy. So we got a takeaway. I love these takeaways. So one of our friends is saying, I see Krishna in all things, always, as he asks us to do in his Gita. And by his grace to have opened my senses to him, I am so grateful to him for this gift, isn't it? The more we open, the more Krishna is there. And I'm like, were you always here like this? It's like, I was there, right there. I was staring at you in the face. I was right there. But you ever hear of a car, or you're looking for a car and then you see it everywhere? You ever learn a new word and then you hear it everywhere? I like teach myself languages, and so like I'm still in the process of being more fluent in Spanish and Hindi, and I started like teaching myself French, but French is really hard. I do not know what it is. My mouth does not move in French ways. For somehow or other, Spanish and Hindi come easily to me. My mouth is just like, what? Why are you making me do this? My mouth does not do that. I don't know what it is, but you ever learn a new word, especially like in a new language, and then all of a sudden I hear it everywhere. I was like, was this word always here? Were people always saying this word? But it's everywhere. Krishna is like that. You start hearing something new about Krishna, and then it's everywhere. And you're like, were you always here looking at me like this? He's like, I was there, staring at you, just waiting for you to notice. Yeah, I was just trying to get your attention. There you were, flirting with material nature. And that's me. I wanna, but I like her, she's a friend. But I do need to really stop my flirting with material nature. That's my problem. The problem is like when I'm like, hey friend, you've got a lot of power. You want to lend me some? We're friends, right? Like we could, it's fine. We can share. Can I borrow your hoodie that you're wearing? I really need to stop my flirting with material nature and flirt more with Krishna. I really. But so yeah, once we open up to him, he's like, one who sees me everywhere and everything in me, I am never lost to him, nor is he ever lost to me. And that's what this means. Every time we attune our senses to Krishna, we fine tune them. Krishna shows up and he shows up and he shows up and he shows up, but really he's always been there. It's us. It's us changing our vision. Another takeaway. Krishna appears in our lives just to reciprocate with us, just to bring us back to our relationship. And he doesn't need to do that. Yes, he's not with us out of obligation. He's constantly choosing to be with us, to be fully present for us, to be constantly available. He's only with us to love us and to allow us to love him back. But developing a loving relationship takes effort, sincerity, and vulnerability. So we need to open our hearts to create space for him, to get to know him, and allow ourselves to be known by him. Yes, that's darshan. Darshan is not just seeing Krishna, but being seen by Krishna. Krishna is simply trying to love us and to let us love him. So let's stop resisting and let ourselves be carried by the waves of his unlimited ocean of love. Leeleshwari, you always have the takeaways that are like a good meal. I always walk away and I'm like, that tasted so nice. That was so good. So good. So good. And so what we have is what we're saying about words and new languages is how the theory of relativity aligns with Krishna consciousness. Learning relativity has helped me relate to those with questions about how Krishna works and moves in the world. Absolutely. We have this equal opposite reaction, but with Krishna, it's opposite but not equal. He's so unlimited. He's like, Krishna is the most ultimately thirsty person ever, respectfully said. Right? You ever hear about that thirsty person where you're like, oh my gosh, at least hold back a little bit. Like play hard to get a little bit. Krishna's not like that. He sees a smidge of sincerity. He's all in. Okay, know everything about me. Let me tell you my favorite color and my parents and my family and what I did when I was little and what I did as I was growing up. And do you want to know what my favorite food is? And do you want to know all the people that I love? You want to know how I love them? And we're like, whoa. All I did was say hi. He's like, I know, and I've been waiting for you to say hi for so long that he cannot hold himself together. He starts tumbling everything out. And you're like, what? Okay. Well, that's a lot, but okay. I want to be thirsty like that for Krishna. And some of our friends are also saying, I want to be thirsty like that. I want to be a little obsessed. I want to get to know everything. Because Krishna will get to know everything about me. And he doesn't even ask us. He's like, I'm going to tell you everything. You tell me everything about you. And I'm like, but you know everything. He's like, no, but what's your favorite color? I want to hear it from you. And I'm like, but you know everything. He's like, no, but tell me about your day. I'm like, you were there. You saw my day. He's like, no, but tell me. With your own words, tell me. Just so that we can say, well, I had a bad day. He's like, I know. Come, give me a hug. Like, he's like, let me make it better. Let me just be there. And then we get to a place where like, no, you're too busy. He's like, I'm not busy. I've just been waiting for you to call. Let me make it better, please. And we're like, no, I don't want to depend on you. I think I've got it covered. And he's like, are you sure? Because if you tell me you've got it covered, then I have to back off. I am now in a place, I'm like, I don't want you to back off. Take control. Krishna, take the wheel. I've got nothing. I want you to take over. Be here. Be in this with me. I don't ever want to go another day where I think I can handle it on my own again. I want to come to you with everything. Okay, one more takeaway. We're going to be saved, but first and foremost, we're going to be loved. Krishna said, just waiting, not just to enjoy with you, but also to enjoy us, right? Krishna's waiting. He's waiting. So now that I know that he's waiting, I'm not going to keep him waiting any longer. I'm going to go and do the things. Please, everybody, make somebody's life better by chanting to them today. Even if it's a bug. Make somebody's life better. Go chant to somebody. Call up a friend. Talk to somebody. Chant to somebody. Chant with somebody. Love you guys. I will see you. I will let you know, but I'll see you soon. And in the meantime, I will put up I'll put the link back up for charming, charming stories about Krishna and how he wins over everyone with pearls and makes amazing, amazing miracles in Sri Vrindavan Dham, where I do voices. I did voices on that one. That was a fun one. It was nice. We got deep. It was nice. It was really good. But I'll see you all again soon. Thank you for being here with me. Really, truly. So much love to every single one of you. I'll see you all soon. Shishirada Govinda Dev ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to all of you. Shri Vrindavan Nam ki jai. All glories to our virtual Vrindavan and to our virtual Vrindavan Nam Vasis, which includes every single one of you. We'll meet back here again soon. Until next time.